So
No,
I
that's good
learned
though.
I did learn something this week though. It kind of snuck
Okay.
up on me, but um the NBA season started.
That has been a thing. It has been around for a little bit.
Yeah. It's you wouldn't know it by listening to Sport and Beards, but the NBA season is ongoing.
It's just, I mean, I feel like unless you're a diehard NBA person, you're probably more or less in the same boat as us,
Right.
where NBA season really starts around December.
Yeah.
That's
December,
when you more start paying more attention to it. Now, obviously, like I've talked about just very, very shortly at some point on the pod, maybe. I do watch the Mavericks still, but I
yeah.
definitely don't keep up with the rest of the NBA until about now. But now I'm going to start keeping up more and watching a little bit
It's
more as it
time.
starts to get better.
It's
Exactly.
time. Is it somewhere you typically somewhere between like now time and Christmas is when I start watching as much basketball as I can and really ramp up as it goes through and then it kind of dies out a little bit when baseball starts and then the playoffs come around and it's like full bore. Just go.
Yep. And I'm excited for that. I mean, it's so fun though. The beginning of the NBA season, it's kind of similar to baseball in a way because it is a pretty long season
Yeah.
too. But like teams that you don't expect at all, and like we're kind of dealing with that right now. We're like, where did these teams come from, and will it last, and all that kind of stuff. So we're at that point. Like, can these teams keep it up? And we're
Right.
about to find out soon. So
It's a long season, as we kept saying throughout baseball.
exactly. So
It's still early.
who's going to be the Angels of basketball? Who's going to be
The
uh,
Jazz. The
the
Jazz of the Angels from this season.
so far? I think I'm with you on that one.
So what we thought is that for our first like full on basketball segment of the season is that we would do kind of a I kind of did like a tier list. It sounded like you kind of did more like a power ranking kind of thing, or maybe just picking out some teams, but like how many teams we think can actually win the NBA title this season. And I like I said, I kind of did it in tiers. I have 5 tiers,
Okay.
ranging from could win the title as they are right now to no chance. And I've got every team listed. And some tiers have a bunch of teams. The no chance has a bunch of teams. There's one tier that I have that only has 2 teams. But
I got you.
so I don't know how exactly we want to do this.
I kind of want to bounce off your tiers, so let's kind of go
Okay.
with that. Because
So
I've definitely looked around at some power rankings, and so but since I haven't really watched a lot myself, I didn't really necessarily establish like my own. So I kind of have an idea of what I
I
like about that, but
I did I kind of because I haven't watched a ton yet either. But what I did this morning, one of the things I did this morning is I went on to Basketball Reference and I kind of did a deep dive on a bunch of different teams and kind of watched some highlights of some teams and like their season to this point and just kind of spent a couple of hours, really looking at the numbers and kind of, who's getting minutes, who's been out, who's, playing well, who, maybe isn't gonna. And I've also the last couple of weeks I've started listening to my basketball podcast that I get some basketball information from too. So I've kind of
nice.
been
Okay.
slowly preparing, even though I haven't been watching, I have been listening as I've been doing other things.
Right.
So that's kind of where I get this list from. This is all my personal opinion. It's my list. There's no outside sourcing for, opinion based stuff on here. But I guess first off, I'll go through the no chance teams. You stop me if you think that any of these teams do not belong in this list. But
Okay.
but Eastern Conference, I've got Pacers, Knicks, Bulls, Wizards, Magic, Hornets, Pistons. We okay so far?
I mean, for the most part.
Okay. Western Conference, I've got Jazz. This one you might have a problem with. Timberwolves, Thunder, Spurs, Rockets. Those are the teams that I've got listed as no chance to win the title.
I
Not
don't really
not
have a
saying,
problem with that.
these teams might be playoff teams. They might win around, but I don't think
See,
they
and
have any shot.
that's where I almost stopped you on the East, just because like the Knicks are actually playing decent basketball right now. I think they've won their last 3 or something like that. And
Yeah,
but I mean, I see what you're saying. Chance to actually win it all. So
right.
I think that
Yeah,
is fair.
these would be ranked a little bit different if it was like, ranking best teams where the tiers were kind of more evenly distributed,
Right.
or teams were more evenly distributed throughout the tiers.
Fair.
So I've got six, the next tier up, I've got 6 teams that need to make a move to have a shot to win the title.
Okay.
Those teams are the Hawks, the Heat, and the Raptors in the East, the Mavs, the Lakers, and the Blazers in the West. I think those teams have at least somewhat of a chance, but they need to make a move in order to have a realistic shot.
Right. And I do think that, I mean, if you wanted to get nitty gritty, you could even break that down to more where some of those have a little bit more of a realistic chance if they make moves than
Yeah.
others. Like it's so weird because obviously the Lakers have like the big stars and people that can go off, but they just don't have the whole team aspect. Like
Yeah.
they were able to get that championship in the COVID year, if you want to give it to them.
It's a title.
It
It's
is
a
a
title.
title,
They
but
benefited from COVID a lot because LeBron was able to take 3 months off before the postseason started. But
yes, it's been
he's been
weird
getting
ever
hurt at the end of these
since.
seasons. Like the last
True.
4 years, LeBron gets hurt at the end of the season. He didn't that year because he had 3 months off between basically the end of the season and the postseason.
Fair, yeah.
So,
Man,
do they win the title without COVID? I don't think they do, but they did. So it doesn't
right.
matter.
True. I will say too, obviously, being a little bit of a homer, I did want to mention a little bit about the Mavs. I really think with the roster they do have constructed right now, they still could figure some things out, but right now they just can't make any shots. They're missing from free throw line. They've got the best player in the world on their team, arguably,
They
my
trade for
opinion.
Giannis.
No, no, no. So I really think they've got a decent squad. They just can't figure it out right now.
They've got a
But
pretty
it
good
could
team, but
take.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, it could take adding another guy. I'm just not sure because I mean, signing Kimball Walker, we don't know if that's exactly an answer or not. He's obviously got some problems with his knee, but if he is able to contribute at all, that is another scorer, that is another ball handler, and I don't know. The Mavericks, they
Yeah.
were looking worse at this point last year, and they didn't really make a lot of moves either, and they were able to actually turn it around and get to where we are. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kimball Walker is the answer, but the question is Kimball Walker a basketball player?
so he's not the answer to the question that I want him to
No,
be the answer to.
I don't think so. I think
I don't think
he's
so either.
basically done. I mean, he hasn't been a productive player in 3 years. He can maybe fill a role as the 12th man or something, 10th man, but if he's getting minutes for you in the playoffs, that's a problem.
I definitely see what you're saying. That's not wrong. I just think the main thing to add somebody like him is to get a little bit more pressure off or more minutes off of like Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock to be able to find it, because right now they haven't been able to find their shot really, and
Yeah.
that's really been the big thing is because they helped out a lot last year.
The thing that always worries me about the Mavs is it's the same reason that the Rockets never won a title with James Harden. It's that it is so hard to win when you have one guy that has the ball in his hands all the time, that leads the league in usage. He's actually second in usage right now, but that's Giannis is ahead of him but his usage has dropped a lot since Middleton got back because Giannis had to do that until Middleton got back. Now that
True.
Middleton's back, he'll fall off on the usage rate. Luka, like his usage rate is 37, which is a high usage rate. It's so hard to build a team that's going to win in the playoffs when a team gets to face you multiple times that can go through 4 rounds to win the title if you have one guy that the other team fears and nobody else really touches the ball, and when they have to do something, they don't know what to do because they haven't done it all year. It's so hard.
Yeah,
It's so
definitely.
hard.
I mean, that's where we got to have guys like Dorian or Dodo, Dorian Finney-Smith, but I meant to say Dinwiddie, because one of our best games last year, Game 7 against the Suns, when we blew them out of the water, Luka, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jalen Brunson all balling out. Now, obviously, we don't have Brunson anymore, but if we could just get some more stuff from the role players, which we were able to get last year, then I think we will be a little bit
Yeah.
more. If we saw a little bit more out of them, we might not be in that whole maybe we need to add somebody right now stage. But we
the
kind of are where
problem
we are right now.
the problem is that in order to get to where the Mavs got last year, they had to have all of their role players playing better than they've ever played before for a 3-week stretch at the right time. It's hard to do that. That's why I've always said they need a second star. He needs a co-star. Luka needs a co-star. Now, whether that co-star is a ball handler to take some pressure off of him, or if it's a wing that can do a little bit of ball handling that can take some pressure off of the like weak side movement, I don't know exactly who that would be. You know, the perfect fit would have been Bam Adebayo. That's the perfect fit. But
I can't argue with that.
Obviously, the Heat are not going to let go of Bam Adebayo anytime soon.
No, there were even offers, and they were saying no, we're not getting
Yeah.
rid of him. So
That's definitely not happening.